Hey guys, what's good? It's Saki and welcome to my channel, and today we're doing a Xander tutorial. And I know that I did a Xander tutorial, and if you've never seen it before, there's a link on the top of your screen right now. And so like this is just like a refresher, and like I'm just gonna be showing you a lot of things. This one is a bit more detailed, like there's just a lot of stuff going on here, and it just like sounds fresher than the other Xander tutorial. So let's get to it. So first of all, I'm gonna play you the track that I created, and then I'll just break it down for you. Okay, and by now I'm sure you get the idea of like the whole track. So let's start with the main part of this track, which is the synth. And so on the synth, what we have here is just a sine wave, and the actual sine wave doesn't sound like this. If you notice, it has a little bit of pitch bend, and so like to modulate the pitch on a sine that's from a sampler, what you have to do is go here on your envelope instrument settings and click on pitch. And when you click on pitch, what you're gonna want to do is come here to your, like, in fact, just keep everything down, or you can just pause and copy these settings right here. And so this is what actually gives it the pitch bend. And like, don't mess with things like the amount, but like if you're not totally a fan of this sound, then you can just see what works for you. But here, like, you're gonna want your amount to be like very low, and your release, you're gonna want it at around 7 o'clock, and your decay too is also gonna be at around 7 o'clock, and your tension knob, bring it down to around 9 o'clock, and then that's what you get the sound. And if you don't have a sine wave as a sampler, what you can do is you can create your own. And how you can do that is you can just come here to GMS, and then you're gonna want to initialize this. And how you initialize here is you're just gonna come here to user and click on that, and so now it's a saw. And then you're gonna want to come here to the first oscillator and change that to sine, and so it's gonna be this boring ass sound. And what you're gonna want to do next is you're gonna wanna drop your sustain, and then increase your release to around 2, and already you can hear the other sound that I modulated at first. And so what you're gonna want to do here is you're gonna want to come here into your piano roll and add probably C5. It could be C5 or C4 depending how you want your sound. And then like, you're just gonna add one note here, and after you've done that, you're gonna want to record your sound. You can record your sound into Edison, like in whichever channel that you have it in. So if you have it on channel 70, you're gonna come to channel 70 and insert your Edison and recorded it into your Edison, and then like just like that, your sound will be recorded, and then you can just drag and drop it into your step sequencer. Okay, and so now moving on, I didn't actually use this sound, so moving on. Okay, so let me switch everything on here. So the first sound, this is how it sounds. And the chords are actually just something that I stumbled on. I got it from some MIDI pack, and so yeah, that was quite cool. And so here, you're gonna here it's just I have some Foley, and as you can see, I've just chopped it into like a hat sound. And next up, it's still the same thing, but here it's much longer. And here I have some hats. And on these hats, as you notice, this is where you start getting the bounce of the track. It's mainly these three hats right here. And what you're gonna want to do for your percussions, as you see, there's like tons of percussions on this track. What you're gonna want to do for your percussion in terms of sound selection, you're gonna want to go for the sounds that have like really soft sounds, and like sounds that aren't loud and that don't have like really sharp transients. And so let's go for this. And here it's just a snap, and I layered it here. I think, yeah, I did switch up the note here. It was from C5 and then I just switched it up here. And we're just maintaining the softness of the sound and like the whole sound actually. That's on pattern 1 actually. Like as you see, like my patterns are a mess, but that's no big deal. Let's get to the next song. And I've noticed this in a lot of Xander tracks. You'll find like sounds like these little chants and stuff like that. That just helps fill the spectrum of like the whole track. And that's like a DAW effect that I added. And here it's just a Congo. And here it's the bass. And here on the bass, like what I have is I have R bass by Waves, and this just helps you give it a more natural boost. And I find this works much better than just EQing my bass. Like this is just a personal preference. More ad-libs. And here, like you're gonna hear this in a lot of sad boy tracks. And here is just a snap. And on my swing, as you notice, there's really not much going on. There's actually nothing on the swing. I swung everything here manually. And so on to the next sound here. That's just an effect synth, and you're gonna want to have a lot of effects synth in tracks like these. And moving on to the next one, that's an effects synth as well. And I'm sure most of you guys are gonna have trouble with coming up with more creative sounds and just like filling up your track and making sure that it doesn't sound empty. So what I'd suppose you do is get a lot of ambience, but make sure not to overdo it though. And so like just get a lot of ambience. Having ambience in your track and having ambience in your track just actually helps you fill out the sound spectrum, and it helps your track not to sound empty. And so here is just a hat. And on number 29, here is a Vox, and I'm gonna leave the Vox in the FLP, and so and that's just more effects, and everywhere it's just effects. And so in terms of the sound design part, here for the pad that you hear on the drop, you're gonna want your attack to be at least around 82, and your hold at around 602, your decay at around 787, and your release at around 500. And this will help you achieve a similar sound to this specifically. And on oscillator A, you're gonna want your oscillator to have 4 voices, and make sure that your filter here is on, and switch on oscillator A. We're not gonna switch on B here because B is actually off. You can switch it on if you want to, but it won't affect the sound in any way. So here it's the MG low 24 filter, and what you're gonna want to do is come here to your envelope one, drag that into your cutoff, and then just leave it at around halfway here. And that's just pretty much it for this sound. On the effects, I doubt that I have anything. Yeah, there's nothing on the effects there. And on the second synth, which is the pitch bend synth, you're gonna hear this in a lot of sad boy track. And so you're gonna want your attack to be at around 71, your hold at around 16, and your decay at around 1.5, and your sustain at around 37, and your release at around 1.8. And I'm actually going over this because some users might not be on FL Studio, some people might be on Ableton, and so they won't be able to actually open up the FLP, so I figured I'd just help everyone achieve the sound. And so here on the oscillators, it's a sine wave, and I pitched it up by 1 octave, and here on the unison, it's just 6 voices. And on oscillator B, it's the analog BD sign, and here it's on this section it's just a saw. What you're gonna want to do if you want that is just go here and click on basic shapes, and then just change your wavetable position to this saw wave, and give it 4 voices. And here on the filter section, you're gonna want to switch on your filter and switch on filter A and B, and just drag your envelope to your cutoff, and from around 9 o'clock until 3, just that's where you make sure your filter is, and make sure not to throw your filter below this line here that you see on the cutoff. That's where the filter starts, and just try not to like throw it on like before that, because your filter won't affect the sound as you heard in this track. So from around 9 to 3 p.m, that's where you're gonna want your filter to be. And on the effects, there's actually nothing as you heard, yeah. And even on the insert effects, there's also nothing. It's just a low cut here that I added on. And next up, on the drop, you hear a lot of drum breaks. Here on these drum fills, here on these drum fills, these I just got them from a few packs that I have. And if you don't know how, if you don't have any packs that have drum fills, and you have contact the library, Abbey Road's library, what you can do is you can just create drum fills using this. And I would recommend that you use a transient processor. Specifically, it helps me a lot. Whenever I create drum fills, I just use the transient processor. If you have the waves bundle, then you can use Smack Attack. But basically what the transient processor does, it helps you make your tracks more punchy, and like, try not to go overboard when creating your sounds. And so, like, that's just basically pretty much it for this entire tutorial. And I'd appreciate it if you guys like, subscribe, and share, and leave a comment, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.